Right, a really warm welcome this morning to Pete from PEMFiT UK. Lovely to have you on here today, Pete. How are you?
I'm great today, thank you. Yeah, Tuesday morning, feeling bright and breezy. Yeah,
fantastic.
Good.
I'm really excited to hear about your new business, because I came last week and I was so intrigued, and I can't wait to have a go of it, to be honest with you.
Great.
So just before we start, can you just introduce yourself, say a little bit about, you know, where you're from and where you're based and things?
Absolutely, yeah. So first of all, thank you so much for having me on this morning. It's a real pleasure to see you, and you know, I'm a real follower of what you've done at Roots of Life and the community that is there. You're such a positive bunch of people, so it's great to be involved and a new member. So thanks for that. I'm Pete Marroni. I'm a local guy. I've lived in the northwest of the UK all my life. Marroni sounds, it's Italian. My grandfather was Italian, so I've kind of spent some of my life over there, but I'm born and bred here and spend most of my life here in the northwest. So my business is PEMFiT UK, as you've said, and that's PEMFiT, PEMFiT. We're based in Hest Bank in Lancaster. It's a studio, and this is what I call the concept studio. So I'm just really trying to prove, I suppose, to myself, does it work? Are people interested in this? And hence the concept part of it, really. So if people like it, then my plan is I'd like to sort of grow it if possible and reach as many people as possible.
Excellent. I'm sure without a doubt, you know, and certainly with what's going on at the moment, you know, wellness is going to be on the rise massively, isn't it?
I'd like to think so. I know for me, my own personal journey, that, you know, wellness has been a big part of it. I tried very obediently to be to get well. Actually, you know, I had my own health journey, and I think as many as have in this community.
Sure.
And I tried really hard to be well and follow all the advice. And for me, it just didn't work. You know, chronic illnesses, it just did not work. And I was not in a good place. And I found that the wellness space for me was absolutely what brought me back to health and energy, and just, you know, where I can, rather than worry about how sick and tired I feel, really, you know, try and help others, and hence PEMFiT UK was born.
So what was your background before doing this, please?
My background, so gosh, go back quite a bit now. I'm well into my 50s, but for 30 plus years I've been in the automotive business, and I've spent the last 13 years in automotive consultancy, so working for brands and for companies. And I've been really lucky to do a lot of traveling for the last sort of 5 or 6 years. I've spent most of that time, you know, flying around the world, and I love the Far East. I got to go to Japan like 5 times last year, and China and Singapore, and you know, South Africa and Italy, Germany, and so on, and do a lot of travel. So I was in automotive management consultancy, and whilst I really enjoyed that, and it was where I had a lot of experience, it wasn't really my passion and purpose in life. And as my wellness and performance improved, I found all people wanted to talk to me about was how are you doing this, and why have you got so much energy at 6 o'clock, and how have you not stopped to eat every half an hour? And the conversation would naturally just turn into how and why, and they found that really fascinating, more so than actually the job that I was there to do, and talk to them about their job and perhaps how things could be improved. So this is where my passion and purpose in life is, and now I'm in this space. I couldn't be happier.
I know, and it certainly shows without a doubt there, Pete.
Oh, thank you.
So just tell us a little bit more about your business and how you got into it.
Okay, so we're a Pulse studio. So this is non-medical, it's non-clinical. We use what's called PEMFs, so hence the PEMFiT. PEMFs, these are the good kinds of EMFs. Everyone's heard of the bad kind, you know, the kind that I grab my phone, these things put out, these work on millions of frequencies per second or pulses per second. They're microwaves. They haven't got a magneto on them, so they can't amplify those and cook your head, but this is where your ear gets warm. These are putting out millions of frequencies and pulses per second, how they work. We all know, even your instruction manual in those says don't put these to your head, you know, hold it at a distance. We all do, or most of us do. But these are the non-native, the non-bioresonant frequencies. EMFs, the good kinds, the PEMFs, these are nothing new. The Earth has been putting them out for millions of years. So lightning strikes the Earth, an interesting fact, around 10 or 11 million times a day. And this is high voltage and it charges the core of the Earth. And during the course of the day, the Earth is continuously putting out these pulsed electromagnetic fields, low frequency and relatively low energy. But when we are, as any living thing, we're human beings obviously, but any living thing, when we're removed from these, so for instance, if we send people into space, they get sick. This is why NASA and the International Space Station and the new thing that Elon Musk just sent up a few weeks ago, they all use PEMF devices to replicate nature. So what we have here is just these are machines that replicate the pulses that the Earth puts out. Sounds wacky, but it's all scientifically evidenced.
Yeah.
And this is the good kind of energy. How I got into it, I think I mentioned before. I was really healthy as a kid.
Yeah.
I used to win everything at school, you know, running, jumping, throwing things, up to 400 meters. After that, I was useless. I was a sprinter. But so I was really healthy in school. And then in my mid to late teens, my health started to decline. Stomach pains, aches, pains. My parents sent me to the doctors. I was diagnosed at the time with yuppie flu. They said, "Oh, you've got yuppie flu." You know,
Right.
we call it now CFS, chronic fatigue syndrome. Over the following 30 years, I was diagnosed with pretty much any chronic disease you can bear to mention, from fibromyalgia to mitochondrial myopia. I had terrible acid reflux, LPR, so it's the silent kind. So you don't know you've got it. Next thing you know, your larynx and your pharynx is burnt away. Yeah. And I suppose that was a culmination 5 years ago. It was the second time I was admitted to our local hospital with suspected esophageal cancer. Fortunately, I didn't have it, but I had no option. I was on maximum proton pump inhibitors just for that condition. I was swigging Gaviscon Advanced out of the bottle, and it was not helping me. So I had to find out what the answers were. And my background was I started my working career as an engineer and then moved into automotive consultancy. And that was, look, what's the problem? Where is the root cause of the issue? And that's the approach that I took, and my performance, my wellness, my health just completely transformed. Came off all my medications. I feel great now in my 50s, and I needed to find a way of helping other people who felt like me. And
you absolutely, Pete, look amazing. And I know you showed me some pictures, some before and after pictures, didn't you, last week?
Yeah, people don't believe it when they see them.
Honestly, I was
a mess.
Oh wow, you're looking now 30 years younger than you did on those, don't you? Which is just absolutely,
thanks.
You know.
Yeah, I feel about 50 years younger. I mean, I felt much, much worse than I looked, but I did not look well. And now, you know, I feel great. And what I found was it's not difficult, but I was not being given the answers. I'm going to all these different people. And believe me, I went everywhere. Plus, an awful lot of money was spent on our healthcare system trying to sort my health out, but it was not touching it. In fact, everything I had just made it worse. So I had to find out the answers. And PEMFs were a big part of that for me, because this was just bioresonant energy that was charging my cells. And essentially, we are just a bag of, you break it right down to a basic level, we're just a bag of cells. Each one of those is literally a wet battery that holds and takes and holds a charge. And the rest of it is salty water. In other words, electrolyte. Now, I know we're much more than that. in a physical and a spiritual sense. Definitely, there's a lot more going on. Some of it can't be explained. It's incredible. We're a very elegant evolution of everything living is. But essentially, we are a bag of cells, and the textbooks, I've got a few behind me here. They define disease as low cellular voltage. Pain is low cellular voltage, and going out into nature, always the best way, is shown when we touch the ground and we get these PEMFs, when we get daylight, when we drink mineral water, eat real food and sleep. It charges our cells. This is the whole Krebs cycle, and ATP to ADP and recycling, mitochondrial health, and PEMFs for me were a big part of making that journey easier than doing, giving up things is hard, addictive things you put in your mouth, sugars and carbs, and and turning those good ones into those bad ones, perhaps refined ones, into whole foods and things like that. That's hard. These things are addictive. They're hard. We all struggle. I still struggle. Yeah. And PEMFs were just an easy way to help me with that and restore my energy, and enable me to do more of what I wanted to do, really, just be a human being and enjoy life.
Because as you know yourself, the 20th century, it's gone at such a fast pace, hasn't it? We are eating on the hoof. We are just putting anything, lots of sugars, fast foods into our mouth. We're not walking like we used to. When you think about it, back in caveman days, we would have done all those things. We wouldn't have eaten every day. We wouldn't have had. So, it's lovely that, we've got a scientific product there, but it's going back in a way to basics of what it used to be like. And what
you put it so beautifully. I completely agree. I mean, and I'm a big fan, and this is where it started for me, ancestral wisdom. How are we designed? Yes. How have we evolved? How have we got here? And you've just described it so beautifully. We have not got here by eating highly processed food, by not moving appropriately. And really what this is ancestral wisdom. This is replicating nature on a large scale, which delivers that energy that our bodies recognize. And when we apply it, good things happen.
Of course they do. Now, from what you're saying about this, who would benefit from your machine, please? Who would be your ideal clients?
It's a really good question. I mean, people say to me all the time, look, what about for this? And what about for that condition? And what about for this issue? Again, the scientist, I'm not a scientist, I'm a practitioner of PEMF. If it has cells, if you have cells, then it is beneficial. There are some contraindications, so it's easier probably to say who it's not for. And also I'd like to say as well, what we don't do at PEMF, what I don't do we're a Pulse Center, so we're the only Pulse Center in the UK. We're one of only 3 in Europe. There's one in Holland, there's one in Germany, and I'm the other one, which is just joined. But there are hundreds of these in the US, so North America, Canada, and also now Australia, where I'm the first one in the UK. But there are other PEMF practitioners that are using lower energy devices. They don't quite deliver the amount of Gauss or Tesla that this one delivers. But who would it benefit? So what we don't do, we don't diagnose anything. We don't even treat anything, and we certainly don't cure anything. All we deliver is this incredible energy, and that enables the body to self-regulate and self-heal. We all know, particularly people I'm sure on this call, we have the ability to do that, but we need the right information and the right energy. And this is a huge building block for performance, energy, health, and well-being. So that's what we don't do. Contraindications, because these are magnets, these are just magnets that turn on and off. Anybody who's got an implanted medical device, such as a cochlear implant, such as a pacemaker, an insulin pump, anything like that, magnets and mechanical devices don't go well together. So that's not a good idea. If you do have pins or plates or anything in the body, and a lot of people do, that's fine, because magnetic fields just travel around them, so that's no problem. Pregnancy is a contraindication, not because it's been found to be harmful, but there's no evidence for or against. So we just say, look, if you know you're pregnant, best not to have PEMFs. Also Graves' disease, so a particular form of overactive thyroid. It's quite rare. I'm sure you and other people listening to this have heard of it. It's nothing like as common as the other form of underactive thyroid or Hashimoto's thyroiditis, as it's one of the main forms of it. I actually had that myself. I no longer have symptoms of that. PEMF is great for that, but not for overactive thyroid. And also if you have any active bleeding, so if you had an open wound that was bleeding, one of the actions of PEMFs is they increase blood flow and circulation. But if you're trying to heal a wound, that's not a good idea. Other than that, it can help, you know, a dog, a cat, a horse.
Oh, wow.
PEMF's huge in the equine and animal. And there's no placebo there. You know, you apply it to a dog. And if I switch this machine on, it's over there.
Yes.
I switched it on and there was a dog in the room or a cat in the room. They'd just jump on the bed and lay on it.
Yeah,
Because they know that this feels good.
For animals.
Yeah, it's great for animals.
Is it a bit like TENS, this machine?
Good question. Everybody asks that, or a lot of people ask that. So TENS machines obviously can help with pain relief. Now, the action that they work on is by down-regulating the nerve stimulation. So they turn off the receptors for pain, and this is how they can be beneficial. They're not, however, in any way treating the root causes. So it's not like TENS. Some of them can look a bit like a TENS machine, and this is why people think it's similar. This is magnets, so it's not electrical stimulation, it's magnetic pulses and stimulation. What these do is they work on these levels. They work on charging the cells and restoring cell voltage. They work on increasing circulation, even down to microcirculation. So within not just the arteries and veins, but also the capillaries, the microcirculation within the body. And the third thing they do, they increase oxygenation into the body. And when you get those three things together, these are giants of the body's self-regulating and healing process. So that's what they do. And this is why they can be used for a vast variety of addressing different issues that people may have.
Yeah, and interestingly, it sounds very, because obviously I'm a Reiki practitioner myself.
Yeah, that's right.
So
I noticed that you were. I love Reiki.
I love Reiki. I love giving it, and I love, you know, using it for myself too. Does it work on the principle of Reiki then, in a way? Is it kind
It's
of
a really
similar?
great question.
Pardon me?
It's a great question. Yeah, it's a great question. Yes, it is. It's very similar. So we have a biosphere. I've got a book here. So that is our biosphere. It emanates from the heart. You know this. It emanates from the heart. It's about 9 degrees tilted to the left. And when we're together, unlike on Zoom, we're interacting with each other's biospheres. And this is why it feels good. And you give me energy, I give you energy.
Sure.
Animals can tap into this. They know what mood we're in. And this is what you're giving to people in Reiki, as you know. You're giving them some of your energy. This is like a chi. This is a life force. This is bioresonant, and that's why it's so powerful. And yes, it is. It's just like Reiki. It is in a way that we can control the frequency. These are super low frequencies, usually between 1 and 10 pulses per second. So very similar to what we give out as human beings. You know, delta waves, alpha waves, beta. We go up to gamma, but they're still, you know, less than 100, usually less than 30 pulses per second. So it's very much like Reiki. Yes, I actually had a chap in here a couple of days ago who said, I used to give Reiki, but it doesn't work anymore. And that's because his energy was low. So all we're doing is charging him up. I'm confident he'll be practicing Reiki again before long, because he needed a boost. And he's feeling much, much better since we're applying that energy. But it was interesting because he said, it's just like Reiki, but a bit like you. So
it sounds fantastic. It really does. And how many sessions would a person, you know, is that dependent on, you know, I guess everybody's individual, aren't they? It's hard to say how many sessions a person would need.
Yeah, it's a really great question. Again, you're asking me some amazing questions here.
Oh,
This is these are the questions
I'm
all my
also
clients
asking lots
ask. A
of
lot of clients.
questions.
Yeah, no, you're hitting the spot, because this is what a lot of my clients ask. Look, how many of these do I need? Do I need one? Do I need 10? Whatever. You're absolutely right. It depends where you're. So first of all, what is your objective? If you're a sports and high performing person, are you running a race tomorrow? And do you want? Because with horses, they use this to make horses run faster for longer. Okay.
Yes.
Why? It's not a drug or anything. This is just energy that we hold. Now, a healthy animal, like a healthy human being, will hold that charge for longer.
Yeah.
If, however, you're trying to address chronic issues which are long-standing, so I have a client who was in yesterday who is 88 years of old. She turned 88 last Saturday, and she's got more that she wants to achieve, because things have been going on for a bit longer. So she actually just finished yesterday. She'd had 4 sessions, because we only opened, obviously we're a wellness business, we're wellness technology. So we opened last week for the first time. And she's, within that period, had a few quick successions, felt benefit with each session. And now she's just booked a few more with her son, because her son also, he was a golfer and he had some pain. Between them, they've booked some additional sessions. But people may have one and say, look, that's me good. People may say, well, I'll have an intro pack, which is 2. So people can come within a couple of days, try it, get some charge, then come back in a couple of days, get some more charge,
Right.
and then see how they feel and where they want to take that. So it really depends on the individual, which is why we offer this introductory pack, because it is something different and new. See how you feel with it. We can have a chat, and then you can decide how much you may want to do this. To a
Brilliant.
really healthy person, they may say after a couple of sessions, look, I'll give you a call in 6 months when I want to recharge. I feel great. And when they want to feel maybe a boost, they could just contact in a few months or a year or something like that. So it's not something you have to have all the time.
No, but I mean, they could have a few sessions and then come back 6 months down the line, or whenever they feel they need it again, isn't it? So you
That
say
would
you
be more
work
typical.
locally, so I'm really pleased that you're here local to us, and you're, the only one in the UK. I mean, that's fantastic. But I'm guessing people can come from all over the UK, really. So you're based at Hest Bank.
They can and they do. Yeah, I'm based in Hest Bank. I took last week, I took 2 bookings from London, and I took the week before 2 bookings from Tunbridge Wells. So people are traveling, because some of the people in London are traveling to Germany to use this machine, and the machine in Germany is actually the older version. So I'm a Pulse Center. The equipment we have here, this sits right at the top of the market, and I used so many PEMF devices. I started with these small handheld wearable devices, and then I ended up getting more powerful and more powerful, more powerful, to the point where I was buying clinical grade machines. Still, they were not giving people what I felt they needed within a short period of time. And that's why I had an opportunity to purchase the Pulse Center's XL Pro, which is the best system on the planet. No one even disputes it, even the manufacturers of the other equipment. This is head and shoulders above anything else. And this is actually the only one of those in Europe. There are 2 other machines, but they're slightly older. They're the Magna Chargers, made by the same company, which are still excellent machines. But this system is the only one in Europe. But there are lots in other countries. This is the only system in Europe.
But it's great to know that you're on certainly on my doorstep anyway, and I can't wait to have a go of it. I really can't. Just before we end the session, I just wanted to ask, how do people get in touch with you for an appointment? So do you have a website, or?
Yeah, we have a website. It's PEMFiT.co.uk. So that's PEMFIT. So PEMFiT.co.uk. You can book on there. You can. There's lots of information on there. You can read up about PEMF. You can see clinical studies. There's thousands of clinical studies. If you go on PubMed and look at PEMF and then a particular issue, you will see studies about it. This is very well studied. You can also contact me on my email address, which is pete@pemfit.co.uk, or you could even give me a call, which is 07544 761 566, and you could just ask me a question.
That's amazing. So without further ado, I've really, honestly, it sounds fantastic. It's like the sort of the ancestral way of being coming into the 20th century. It's just kind of wow, isn't it? And
it's nature in a therapeutic dose in a
yeah,
short period of time, but it is replicating nature. So very quickly, everyone, just say 100 years ago, if you were sick and could afford to go to a doctor before our wonderful NHS,
yeah,
they would have sent you, if you felt sick, they'd have sent you to a spa or the beach and said, look, lay in the sun, touch the ground, drink the
sure,
mineral waters. This was working on the same mechanism.
yeah,
They didn't know why. They didn't know about the Krebs cycle and mitochondria. They just knew it made people feel better. And in line with what you were just saying there, all this does is in a way that meets people where they're at in these busy times. It can give that energy in a very short period of time, and people feel better.
fantastic. Well, a really big thank you, Pete, for this morning, and certainly
Thanks, Debs.
this
Thank
will
you.
be recorded and on YouTube for people to see. And a really, I'm just really pleased for being local and the fact that you've just opened up this new exciting business. So
Thanks, Debs. I can't
no.
wait to see you back here where you've got time to actually use the technology and see how you
Oh, I
feel.
know. I'm
And
really excited for that. If it makes me
let me
about
know as soon
20
as you
years,
can.
if it makes me 20 years younger, I'll be even more happier. All right. So thank you, Pete. And like I
Thanks,
say, I'll
Debs.
be sharing this out. Thank you. Take care.
That's great. Thank
Bye.
you, Debs. Bye-bye now. You too.
Bye.